There are countless games with really great original scores, ones that appropriately set the game's pace or mood. Others, like the music from the original Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, or Final Fantasy VII, can help define a generation. But I'm not here to talk about great soundtracks. There's already dozens of channels and sites that devote their time to that. I specifically want to talk about video game end themes. While most gamers can spout off a list of their favorite opening themes and then supplement each track with a generic statement like, "That game was awesome," memorable and meaningful closing themes are hard to come by, and it seems when a game really nails its end theme, it takes it from just another good game to something special in my mind. Amazing closing themes don't simply remind me of those specific games, they help me relive the emotional journey.
This was a triumph.
Hey, remember when Valve used to make video games and it wasn't just a digital hat retailer? And they didn't make any old video games, they made some of the best video games. They highlighted 2007, one of the finest years in terms of great releases, with the Orange Box that included Half-Life 2, Episodes 1 and 2, Team Fortress 2, and Portal. Portal was worth the price of the collection all on its own. It's a super polished, genre-defining game that perfected everything it set out to accomplish. Its end theme, Still Alive, written by Jonathan Coulton and sung by GLaDOS voice actress Ellen McLean, who also happens to be a very accomplished opera singer, busted its way into pop culture. It was so successful that I was meeting people who heard Still Alive without ever playing the game. It encapsulates Portal's dark humor, it reminds me of the flawless gameplay, pop a portal here, place a companion cube there, but it will also be a permanent reminder of the time when we were all bonding over the cake being a lie. Portal would have been a perfect game without Still Alive, but with Still Alive, it's pushed to a whole new level.
And when you're dead, I will be still alive. Still alive. Still alive.
Hey, remember when Konami used to make video games, and it wasn't just a holding company for a bunch of IPs that were slowly being pissed away as they transitioned into a company that solely made slot machines? And they didn't make any old video games, they made some of the best video games. They were responsible for Contra, Metal Gear, Castlevania, X-Men, Turtles in Time, Sunset Riders, Dance Dance Revolution, Silent Hill. I could go on, but I'm sure you get my point. When they're dead and gone, people will look back at them as one of the greats. As one of the greats, they have an impressive library of games, but of all the games they've created, Super Castlevania 4 holds a place in my heart. Super Castlevania 4 came out only a few months after the launch of the SNES, and it gave plenty of NES owners a good reason to upgrade their hardware to the new generation. SC4 is technically a retelling of the original game, so it is appropriate that many of the tracks on the OST are remixes. It's not a particularly long game, skilled players can crack it out in a single sitting. The ending theme, aptly named Ending Theme by Masanori Adachi, was the best track in the whole game. When Dracula is defeated and his castle falls into ruins, Ending Theme perfectly syncs with the events on screen. After that, once the credits start to scroll, the game plays a dynamic cinematic reel that showcases Simon's journey through Dracula's domain. The song is soothing, yet appropriately adventurous. Haunting, but with a ray of light. It's as though the song is the narrator in the story. Luckily, Ending Theme is loopable, unlike modern tracks for most video games that have a definitive beginning and an end. If I'm working on a project and I can listen to music on headphones, I'll loop it more times than I'm comfortable to admit. Whenever I bring up Super Mario Bros. 2, someone always points out, "Don't you know it's just Doki Doki Panic and the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 was never released in the United States until Super Mario All-Stars?" In 1987, no, I didn't know that, and most people playing video games didn't know that either. Now that I'm older, I seriously don't care. Super Mario Bros. 2 was a very fun game with a decent challenge level and some great music. The best track in the entire game is the end theme. When we were kids, it took my brother and I a while to finish Super Mario Bros. 2. One night, my brother snuck down into the family room after bedtime and played the game with the lights off and the television volume turned down. He managed to finish the game, and despite the danger of being caught by my parents, whose bedroom was right at the top of the stairs, he snuck back up into our room, woke me up to tell me about his accomplishment, and we both ninja'd back downstairs to witness the finale together. The end theme by Koji Kondo was perfect. It fit the game, it was appropriately celebratory, but it also helped relay the final message. It was all a dream. Whoa. Okay, now as an adult, if anything turns out to be just a dream, I scream about how cliche it is, but to 8 or 9-year-old me, that was groundbreaking stuff. Plus, for a game to have something more than just "congratulations" and then scroll the credits at that time was pretty rare. And that song not only reminds me of the game and that very fun final boss fight, but I also think of the time when my brother and I snuck downstairs without detection and had a brotherly moment. Any fan of my channel has heard music by HyperDuck SoundWorks. That theme at the end where my recent videos appear, that's them. Their music is up there with Guinness, Liam Neeson, and Oscar Wilde as some of the coolest stuff to come out of Ireland. The end theme of Dust, an Elysian tale called Gone Home, Journey's End, is one of my favorite songs of theirs. Dust, an Elysian tale is far more than simply a good game. It's a digital monument of work of Dean Dodrell. I've never met Dodrell before, I've never emailed him, but I can't help but admire and be inspired by what he's done. He's a self-taught animator, illustrator, and programmer who told his wife one day that he wanted to learn how to code to make a small game. Well, Dust isn't small. Gone Home, Journey's End feels like the last brushstroke on a masterpiece. It's somber but sweet, and adequately encapsulates both the emotion of the game's finale and what I imagine Dodrell must have been going through when he finally hit the upload button to Xbox and Steam. Passion projects are emotionally draining, especially when you submit them for public consumption. It's a lot of hard work and support from your family, and who is to say if fans will appreciate it? Will you come back and do it again someday? Maybe. But Gone Home is largely a piano composition, accompanied by an acoustic bass called a bazantar, with a few bells mixed in. It's the perfect song to sit back, reminisce, grab a drink, and maybe even shed a tear. By today's standards, Infamous is rough around the edges. It has some weird animations, muddy textures, but the story and gameplay are still rock solid. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that the story in the original Infamous makes Second Son seem like crap. The New Gaze band working for a nuclear-free city was commissioned by Sony to write a track for Infamous. They came up with Silent Melody, which was used in some of the game's promos and the final credits. It's a great song on its own, but added to the game it fits perfectly. The buzzing distorted electric guitars sync well with Cole's superpowers. The droning repetitive drums and muffled voices tie in well with the desolate city and its remaining inhabitants. And the squealing transitions bring a cool style that pairs great with the game's lightly animated comic expositions. But the song was remarkable because of its high energy. It wasn't some generic orchestral score brought in to let the credits crawl by, largely ignored. It kept me pumped when I was mulling over the game's final revelations. It firmed my decision that, yes, I need to play through that game again, but this time, I'm gonna be evil. The song is never heard during the game's campaign, but when I play Infamous, I think of Silent Melody. When I hear Silent Melody, I think of Infamous, and how despite its flaws, it was still one of the coolest superhero video games that I've ever played. This last track is potentially the most powerful ending theme on this list of last tracks. Unlike many of Rockstar's open-world games where social commentary is delivered through parody, in Red Dead Redemption, the social commentary is through tragedy, and I think it's Rockstar's strongest title because of it.
Your hands upon a dead man's gun and you're looking down the sights.
It's almost impossible to talk about this end theme without spoiling the experience for anyone who hasn't seen Red Dead Redemption through to the end. To put it vaguely, after an exciting campaign where flawed hero John Marston does everything in his power to bring order to his chaotic life, the game lulls you into a sense of restful security and reconciliation, and then brutally smashes that serenity with a hammer. By the end, a sword of vengeance is delivered, but it doesn't make up for the player's loss. The screen fades to black, and then Ashtar commands Deadman's gun starts to play. The whispery, harmonizing vocals accompany acoustic instruments, and as soon as the first lyrics are sung, the hair on my arms stand up.
They're giving you a reason to fight. And all the storms you've been chasing about to rain down tonight.
End themes obviously don't make the game, but they take amazing games and make them even more memorable. This is only part of my list of favorite video game end themes. I've actually trimmed quite a few tracks from it to save time in this video. But what are your favorite end themes? Which songs pushed games to a new plateau for you?
A dead man's gone and Joe.
This video is made possible through generous fan donations on Patreon.